But first tonight, in the last hour, the government has pledged to test 100,000 people for the coronavirus every day by the end of this month. In his first address since being diagnosed with COVID-19 himself, the Health Secretary Matt Hancock outlined plans to build new laboratories and testing sites across the country to deal with the increased screening. Well, Michael Billington joins me in the studio now, maintaining a safe distance as always. Michael.
These are big targets that the government has set itself today.
Michael, thanks very much indeed. Well, this comes as a woman from Lincolnshire who works for the NHS has posted an emotional video online urging people to heed the advice of health experts. Sharon Cook tested positive for COVID-19 over a week ago and became seriously ill as a result with secondary complications. We should warn you that you may find some details of her account upsetting. But Sharon, who's now recovering, says her experience demonstrates why it's so important to stay at home. Sharon Cook's very powerful description of her own experience, and we wish Sharon all the best with her recovery. Next, there's been intense activity in Harrogate today as work is stepped up to transform the town's convention centre in what's believed to be the region's first field hospital for coronavirus patients. Work has been going on all week, but today troops and ambulance crews have been on the site. Well, John Hill. Well, as the hospital staff get ready for an increase in the number of patients with COVID-19, businesses supplying them with medical equipment have been ramping up production. Helen Steele looks now at how they're preparing. Meanwhile, many people have been asking whether wearing protective masks and gloves will give them greater protection from the coronavirus and help slow its spread. Well, up to now, the World Health Organization has said only those with COVID-19 symptoms or caring for people coughing and sneezing need to wear masks. But the guidance is set to be reviewed, as Derek Johnson explains. Derek Johnson there. Well, next to warnings that food shortages and the sudden shift to homeschooling and working from home due to coronavirus could have a major impact on families living with autism. Around 2.8 million people across the UK either have the developmental disability or live with someone who does. So as the country marks World Autism Awareness Day, one charity in Hull says it's already had a surge of calls from those who are struggling due to the change in routine. Jonathan Brown reports. Well, still to come on the programme. For more of the day's news, and a 40-year-old man will go on trial later this year, charged with murdering a healthcare worker who was stabbed to death in Barnsley. The Bradford magician Dynamo has revealed he's tested positive for coronavirus and is at high risk from the disease because of his underlying health conditions. Well, next, researchers in Sheffield say there's been a spike in the number of people feeling anxious or worried since the Prime Minister announced lockdown at the start of last week. 3/4 of people they spoke to even admitted to panic buying. It's leading mental health experts to call for more advice on how to improve our well-being and to develop coping strategies in a time of crisis. Nick Smith reports. And if you go online to our website, the usual address, itv.com/. Time for the weather now. John's here.
I know when you arrived, you're out tonight, aren't we, Christine?
We are.
Just before 8 o'clock, ITV is...
And it's all happening again at 8 o'clock. John, we'll see you at the end of the programme.
Indeed,
forecast.
yes.
But finally tonight, an award-winning Yorkshire chef who has turned his hand to helping feed NHS staff during the current crisis. Matt Healy from Leeds, who was a runner-up on MasterChef, is preparing and cooking hundreds of Sunday lunches for hard-pressed nurses. Chris Kiddie went to meet him. Chris speaking to him, of course, by the internet. He didn't actually go and meet him. We'll try and keep things safe here. Well, John's here now with what promises to be a nice weekend. John, thanks very much. That's just about it from us. Our next update is with me at 11:15. The national and international stories are next, though, with Mary Nightingale. But for now, from all of us here, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to ITV News. This is the late update from Calendar. And first tonight, thousands of people across our region have taken to the streets to clap for our key workers. Well, you can see more images from all around the region on our Calendar website. The display of gratitude comes as the government has pledged to test 100,000 people for the coronavirus every day by the end of this month, including frontline NHS staff. It comes as the number of cases in. Look at what the government's new testing targets really mean. Michael, thanks very much indeed. Well, Next, there's been intense activity today in Harrogate. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the region, as the hospital staff get ready for an increase in the number of patients with COVID-19, businesses supplying them with medical equipment have been ramping up production. Helen Steele looks now at how they're preparing. Well, all this work is to help patients like Sharon Cook from Lincolnshire, who tested positive for COVID-19 over a week ago and became seriously ill as a result. Sharon, who had secondary complications but is now recovering, says her experience shows why it's so important to stay at home. She posted an emotional video online urging people to heed the advice of the health experts. Well, we do wish Sharon all the very best with her recovery. But next, police officers have been issued with new guidance following. Now, on World Autism Awareness Day, local charities are warning that food shortages. Well, finally, an award-winning Yorkshire chef has turned his hand to helping feed NHS staff during the current crisis. Well done, Matt. Well, that's the news. Now, here's John with the weather. John, thanks very much. That's it from me for now. Our next bulletin is tomorrow just after 6 in Good Morning Britain. But from all of us here on the Lates team, bye-bye for now.